Just like the roads we travel, music is one of our greatest connectors. Throughout history, rhythm and melody have amplified our voices and provided power to our greatest stories. Like a fiery guitar riff or a clever bit of lyrical prose, roads transport us from one place to another, and they leave us transformed along the way. It's that journey of transformation that I'm pursuing. I'm embarking on a road trip with Can-Am on a vehicle that's engineered to discover life stories. Together, we'll lay bare the age-old affair between music and the open road. I'm Clint Carter, and this is Common Tread. My first stop is in Los Angeles, where I'll meet shooter Jennings. The son of Nashville royalty Jesse Coulter and Waylon Jennings, Shooter's carried the country music legacy across generations. He's created his own sound. It's one he started shaping the moment he left Music City and followed his inspiration to LA. Shooter, man, thanks for coming down and having a chat with me today.
Yeah, man, good to be here.
I kind of want to go back just kind of through your life, starting with like 20 years ago when you came to Los Angeles.
I grew up in Nashville. Music was around a lot. Dad did this movie, Stagecoach, and we moved out here for 2 weeks for him to shoot it. I used to make them take me into Hollywood to check out the costume store over on Hollywood Boulevard, you know? And it was like, I immediately was like, I want to live here. It's like, feels like fantasy world, you know, and it still feels that way to me.
All right, so we're here at the Viper Room, which is one of the most legendary clubs in Los Angeles. And it was also one of the first clubs you ever played at, right?
Yeah, it was. Everyone would come out to those gigs here at the Viper Room, so that felt like we were a rock band. I had this little grand piano that my parents had gotten me. It was like a baby electric grand piano. It was like a gift when I came here. And so we would take the legs off and I would load it onto this stage, and it was so heavy, it would take like 3 of us. And I'd be, you know, playing like we were like something else. In Nashville, the perception of what Hollywood is and the Viper Room and everything was so much bigger than like anything, you know? So like playing the Viper Room was like the greatest thing in the world, you know?
Visited Sunset Sounds earlier today.
Great.
And there's like just like so many classic records have been recorded there, but like, so is that where you're doing most of your recording these days?
These days, yeah. I've got at least 2 more records happening there this year. That place feels like home to me. I love that studio. I mean, there's so much history there. My favorite room ended up being 3, which that's the studio that Purple Rain was done in.
Oh, like, wow.
Prince set up in there. But I kind of have enjoyed like finding these spaces and kind of going with it. And then a lot of part of it is the people that work in the studio and how they run the studio.
Does that play a big part in how you're choosing studios? Just like the producers that you've worked with?
There's 2 engineers that I really work with. There's a guy named Mark Rains, and a guy named David Spring, who you guys stopped by, I believe, at Dave's room out there. He knows what I like. We have a rapport. We've done so many projects together. The studio is all about the space. It's all about the room and using the room. And it's about the people that are working there.
You're sort of pushing the boundaries of what is like core country. You've kind of done that over your career. Do you think that your sound is like heavily influenced in any way by being in Los Angeles?
When I got here, I was trying to find my voice, and I was bringing in elements of the rock. My dad, I remember, like, he saw that I just really loved music, and I loved making new music, and I loved the creation of new ideas and new sounds. He said to my mom, music's in good hands. What I love is that I stayed here, and now I'm working with all these bands that are LA bands. The history of this town and rock and roll music, just this place alone, you know, has history all to itself. That's why I love being here, and I want to be part of the LA music history, because this town scooped me up and carried me safely to where I am. I am dedicated to this town. It feels like a land of magic and opportunity, and I want to, you know, work in the studios as much as possible and put into the musical economy. I love this town.
Waylon had Nashville, and Shooter has Los Angeles. It's given him all the opportunities, challenges, and collaborators that only LA can. In that sense, the city leaves its own mark on the music. It helps the artist unlock stories that could only be told from one place on Earth. It's in that spirit that I'm back on the road. I'll be crossing North America, talking to the people who live their lives in service of sounds and stories. Wherever I end up, I hope to see you there on the next Common Tread.